Welcome to Weld.com. We've had a lot of viewer requests about how to cut pipe, how do we prep pipe for our training coupons. We kind of call them coupons around here. It's a comedy thing. A lot of people are blowing up about that. Coupon! In any event, I'm going to cut a piece of 4-inch pipe here. I'm going to cut it with a Mathy Dearman beveling machine. I've set this at about 37 degrees, and we're going to clamp it onto the piece of pipe, walk around it, have a number 1 tip. 4-inch schedule 80. So we're going to set up over here and we're going to do a little sample cut for you. Be right back. All right, for a little demo, we're going to do a pipe cut here. I want to do a couple of things and explain a couple of things. Rolling start, and I hope I hit this. I did a little practice, or I cut the square off here and I made a little chip in it, and that's what we want to avoid. I had a viewer comment that they called it a divot. How do I avoid the divot when I start and stop? And I'm going to show you a little trick. My pressures are set at 5 on the acetylene and 20 on the oxygen. I do have a number 1 tip in here. This is 4-inch schedule 80. Now, this piece of pipe is a little over 3 feet long, and this is where I would have stopped cutting it. I like starting out with these long runs because we can get real quick, real accurate with our cuts. But this is the time that I bring it in and chuck it up in the positioner and cut it the rest of the way. I usually square cut everything when we're preparing coupons for training. And the reason for that is, and we had a lot of your comments, why don't you just cut a bevel on it? Well, the bevel tends to throw all the slag on the inside, and that's fine, but it takes a fair amount to clean it up. And I'm trying to get, if I square cut them, then I can clean that very quickly and I can put it in the jaws of the chuck consistently every time. If it's not cut straight, then it tends to lope while it's in the positioner. It's not centered. So generally we square cut all these, but we can bevel them, and I want to demonstrate this bevel. I'm at a little bit of a disadvantage because this is a new piece of pipe and it's real slippery. As I get the weight of the torch over here on the side, I'm going to have to kind of hang on, but we'll get through it. It'll be all right. So, first thing is to light up. I want to get a neutral flame. If I am cutting a large, thick piece of pipe and it's been cold outside, I'll go around this thing and give it a little preheat soak. It'll cut a lot better. Travel speed is critical, as in any cutting. I have my preheat flames about 1/16 up off the pipe. Now here's the trick. I only have a certain amount of time up here when this thing gets hot. And I want to roll it away from me and then come back through my cut. It tends to lessen the chance of having that big blowout. I generally watch and listen, see what's going on with the cut. Old pipe cutter's a little stiff this morning. And I will roll through it and turn off the oxygen and acetylene. Now, I didn't blow this up when I started, and we'll take this down here in a little bit and show you some methods for prepping this for welding. But my cut is good and square. I don't have a bunch of big chips, and it's not too bad. I could finish this off with a file. The roll cone, the grinder, the sanding disc, put your root face on it and you're ready to go. This is old school, just a half round file. A lot of times when I'm in the field, or used to a lot. If it's decent clean pipe and we're stick welding, I can just run this in here. The cut was clean, so I don't have to worry about it too much. But I can do kind of like a back and forth, and we're getting in here and cleaning the inside of this. I worked with an old guy. I swear this guy could cut pipe by hand and cut it this good with a bevel. He was amazing. But he would take his file and stand up here and just start raking this thing and put a nice 1/16 root face on it. Of course, he liked a real tight fit. But he would clean everything up with a file. You know, nowadays we're using roll cones, which I'll get here in a second, and a flapper disc, and we'll clean the outside of the pipe, the inside of the pipe mechanically. But old school is good too. Some people like file work. I still do. I know Caveman does, Alex Brown. So let's get some other tools on this and we'll go. I have a Walter mini grinder this morning, and I have a roll cone. I call them roll cones, cone stone. I put this out a while back on how to prep the inside of a piece of pipe. It's real quick, simple, light pressure, let the stone do the work. But apparently there was some confusion on what these things are actually called. You know, grinding rock, whatever. And then people were asking me for the part number. Man, I don't know the part number. That depends on the vendor, but been using these for years and years. We've got, you know, we wear them down. We'll get them into small diameter pipes. They make a couple of different shapes, straight, cone, but we use them down to hardly nothing, and they are very good tool, very quick. So here's how it goes. I have just cleaned this back to 1/2 inch, never moved the pipe. A lot of times when we're doing our coupons, we'll make sure that we rotate them around. I like cleaning the inside of the first, simply because if I was out here dressing the face and putting my root face on, and then I went and cleaned the inside of the pipe, I just kind of wipe my root face out. So I like to go in here and clean the pipe up first, come back out here and dress the bevel. Last thing I do is put my root face on, and then I even file the burr on that. So let me grab another grinding stone and I'll show you what I'm talking about. I have a 1/4 inch disc on here. I want to go in here and kind of, I like to lay these things down flat and just kind of roll them so that I'm not rebeveling this or getting deep gouge marks into it. That's an aggressive wheel. This is a Walter excavator. Anyway, I laid this thing up here flat so that I maintain the integrity of the bevel. If I put it up here, I'm gouging down into it a little bit, and if I slip, I cut the pipe. I don't like doing that, and people I'm fitting for don't like it either. So now the last thing I'm going to do with the 1/4 inch is put a root face on here. And that went real quick. You'll notice that I was trying to shoot all my sparks to the floor. I came around it this way, I came around it this way, left the pipe in the stationary position. Last thing I would do for myself or anybody else that we were fitting for is come in here and hit this with the file just to take the burr out. And that, my friends, is a nice coupon ready to go. Barely has slightly less than 3/32 on the root face. I think everybody likes that for their stick welding procedures. A lot of procedures for that matter. In any event, last thing, any more cleaning on this, now if we were taking this to the field and we were working with it, I may or may not clean this, but the last thing I'd do to it maybe is hit it with a flapper wheel out here flat. But after it's fit up and we start welding, we're going to be hitting it with wire wheels anyway to buff subsequent passes. So this cleans itself in all the other processes. So that's just one of the methods to prep pipe. It's quick. Again, I've watched an old man do this by hand and hit it just about that accurate every time. He was amazing. Cut with a 70-degree torch. He was smooth. So I like using the pipe beveling machines and putting the roll cone in there, cleaning the inside, clean the face, put the root face on, hit it with a file, done. None of this took very much time at all. So I hope that helps. So here was a cut that I kind of wasted off of here, and I did something. I had a viewer comment, was asking a question, how do I avoid the divot? I left one, but it's not very big. It looks probably worse on camera, but I can assure you this would dress up nicely. The rest of the cut is nice and smooth. Clean that baby up with a file pretty quick. And the other comment or question when we were, I think it was based on one of my Instagram posts, was how come you don't I was cutting them square outside so I could bring them in here and plasma bevel them. And here's what happens, and this is really isn't a big deal, but I'm beveling, and so this is the back bevel part. As the oxygen jet slows down, it's going to deposit the slag on the waste part of the pipe, and this will clean up. However, it takes a little bit of time, and I don't like all that extra time and labor stuff. If I just cut this square, then actually we can just kind of peck around it with a ball peen hammer or a flat hammer, or stick a grinding stone in it and clean it up so we can put it in the positioner, because we square cut one end so it always goes in the positioner. We bevel the other ends usually with plasma, because on a piece of pipe like this it would take about 20 seconds to put a good bevel on it with plasma. So in any event, here's the slag deposit. It looks nasty and bodacious. We could clean that off. It just takes a little bit more time. The important thing is, how do we get that good rolling start where we're not blowing it up and doing this divot? I've done a couple of million of these, and they're not that bad. They just, I try to avoid them so that we have full integrity of the pipe. Last thing you want to do is make a big old hole and divot, and then when you dress this up and put your root face on there, you still have a depression. That's not entirely cool, although a good welder could go right through that and not have a problem. Hey, I hope this helps, and if you have comments and questions, please get a hold of us. Thanks for watching Weld.com. I'm Bob Moffett with Cali College.